Good afternoon, it's Tony Hayes, Paranormal Investigation UK. Today's date is the 26th of March 2022, and today we're looking at the possibility of historical or geopathic environmental issues relative to a case for Beverly Wilson. What I'm actually going to do first, we're going to actually look at the ley line or the energy lines. From a science point of view, it's quite difficult to simply accept ley lines or energy line as a possible fact. I think there's so you need to keep at the back of the mind at all times is when we're dealing with this, is that we are moving into the realms of the spiritual belief mechanisms, particularly with ley lines and energy lines that don't actually exist. These are lines that have been synthetically drawn by various people over the years, particularly ley lines. A lot of people will suggest that matching up historical significant sites such as Stonehenge, Avebury Stone Circle, and so on, happen to be on a line. Or if you're using two direct opposing sites such as Stonehenge and Avebury and draw a line, I can guarantee that line would be straight. What's the important aspect of it is what's within that line itself. So we used it from really as an investigative tool, as well as using other types of research. So this particular first one is connected to do with ley lines and energy lines, using the postcode of CF141BR. So I've inputted that into the database, and we're actually going to now look at that particular area, which is close to Cardiff in South Wales. So we've got the location here, you can see on the icon, we've got Northern Avenue and so on. So all we've basically got to do is just really expand out and to see the location of the nearest ley line, if there is in fact a ley line. There will be one there somewhere. There always is. So we have to come out quite a way, and we begin to see two opposing lines from, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, and we've got areas such as Castlecoach and so on. So there are two lines, one's running across left to right and one from bottom to top. The postcode itself is, if we take this particular line here, it's going to be around about, if we just go in there slightly, 20 miles away. Now, the great unanswered question is the width of the ley line itself. Is in fact, if these actually do anything. I've spoken to Amanda Griffiths on this one. She said you can actually douse for it to see the width of it, but it certainly won't be stretching 20 miles. That's for certain. So I think in the case of ley lines or energy lines, there's absolutely nothing that matches that location. As we expand out, obviously you can see the grid of the lines themselves, and there's nothing even close to the area of interest. Where it does get interesting now, I'm going to shut that particular database down, and I'm going to go to a new type of which is the known fact of the magnetic anomalies. This has been talked about for some years. The obvious one would be the San Diego flight in Florida, or on the coast of Florida in the United States, where buildings that are built close to or on the San Diego fault have experienced above what you would call average reports of phenomena, including paranormal phenomena. This is a natural occurring events within the plates of the Earth itself, and a lot depends on the location itself, what it is on. What is it? Limestone? Is it granite? Is there any other materials such as tin, iron, that type of stuff, and it can make a difference. So using the same postcode basis, and this particular database is produced by NASA to map out the known magnetic anomalies to see if there's anything occurring within the hotspots. So let's look at again at the CF141BR. Off we go to Cardiff, and I looked at this area and it's obliterated in red. And if we expand out, okay, it's coast of the UK. The yellow is less, blue is practically zero. We can actually see the intensity here at the bottom. So we're looking at a reddy pinky colour, so around about 100 intensity, and the area in question is roughly around about the centre. Now, I've not actually come in contact with, I've done a high number of these since I've been using this database, and it's the first time I've actually got someone that's within the hotspot of the magnetic anomalies. I've come across a couple that have been in the middle of a number of them that have experienced phenomena. So if we look at it from a science point of view, what we can say is the location where Beverly lives is within quite a remarkable magnetic anomaly, which is known about. It's a proof of fact. What can that cause as far as phenomena or any other type of experience of the person that's living there, particularly someone who's living that may be living outside of that area and then has moved in. The case of Beverly, where she moved in 2019, if something occurred when she's arrived there, it's a bit of a coincidence that Beverly says that when she got and started to live in Cardiff, or close to Cardiff, the phenomena started to occur. Had she been living there from born there, maybe living there as a child all the way through, she may not have noticed the changes. So there's something within the magnetic anomalies which may well have affected the phenomena that Beverly is experienced. I have a great deal of knowledge on magnetism. In the early 1980s, when I was in the empirical chemical industries, they produced a new form of chlorine manufacture using membrane cells with high electricity running through the membranes of around about 350,000 volts. This would in turn, with other chemicals within it, would produce a chlorine gas, which is then liquefied. So my job for 2 years was to discover what ailments are that people would experience when they came into the cell room area, and the symptoms being reported by them for anything from seeing black wavy lines to black masses to feeling of unease. Sometimes people feel queasy, some feel they would vomit. So what we learned very early on, and the same can be applied to EMF, that people differ. Often referred to now as hypersensitivity towards EMF, where you've got this magnetic field energy that, depending on the individual, would react differently. So what one person would feel is not necessarily the same as somebody else would feel. So if you're in a location-based area of, say, a housing estate, you may only find a couple of people, maybe one person, may not find any that would be affected by that form of energy. But from a science point of view, it's a bit of a coincidence that when Beverly moved into the area in 2019, she very quickly began to have symptoms, which is the diagnosis of that, where we have the dilemma of when people begin to suggest that, it's some sort of haunting, poltergeist or demonic infestation, that type of stuff. That may be the initial diagnosis, but the prognosis may be radically different, and this is what I'm suggesting on this movie that I'm doing today. So I did look back in 2019 on the availability of masts such as 3G, 4G, that type of thing, and I've also dealt with a case in Preston where a farm was having major problems with one particular field, and my involvement was to prove without question that the monopole that actually housed a smart meter connection was right above the field itself, so they had difficulty growing anything. And I think everyone particularly well accepts these days that such things as smart meters, mobile phone masts, particularly 5G, can make changes to the organic process of certainly of a growing vegetable or plant, as well as the human form itself, particularly on the developing brain of a young age. So it may well be that Beverly may prove to be hypersensitive to energy. There's no long-term health effects that they say is regard to magnetism, and I do tend to agree with that, but short-term contamination of effects do occur. So, for example, if you're only in a property from say 8 at night till 8 in the morning because of work, you may not suffer the symptoms as much. But if you're based there 24 hours of the day and you are hypersensitive to energy, you may begin to experience symptoms regard to that one. So that's something which I've spoken to Amanda Griffiths with. We're going to explore further anyway. And my next task now is, now I've done that, I will look at the historical nature of the location itself. I have had a brief look at this because I did look at this back in 2019, and there's nothing that jumped out. And just because you live, a quarter of a mile away from Stonehenge doesn't suggest that that's the cause of it. If that was the case, everybody in the UK would have problems because we're all living close to some sort of historical artefact, whatever that artefact may be. So we've got no ley lines or energy lines within the vicinity, but what we have got is a genuine case of high levels of magnetism, and that's an impossible one to overcome because you can't shield yourself away from it. So it may well be that you could look at getting some tests done to explore the possibility of being hypersensitive to changes within the magnetic anomalies that you live in. And you may well find, if you went to holiday set for somewhere, say you went to let's find somewhere here, Aberystwyth, spent a week there, you feel better. You go back to home, you're going straight into the area that's causing you problems. So not everybody has issues with this. It's certainly not the case. So it's something you can talk to with Amanda in depth, but at the moment the area of great interest is the magnetic anomalies, and that's an impossible one to overcome. Okay, speak to you soon. Bye.